Digital Divas, I hope to see you there. But this is not a sales pitch. This is all about the people that make this event what it is. It's the high-powered women in South Africa who move the needle on a daily basis. Everywhere from investments all the way through to building, the things that when I say move the needle, create impact in this country. So Andrea Böhmert is one of those amazing, powerful, sometimes full of nonsense, and that's why we like her, people. She is the co-founder of Knife Capital. And I always like starting with story. People engage with story. So a pre-seed version, so not the pastor's version, a pre-seed version of what you do and how you got to where you are today.
I think the first question is, am I a diva?
Yes.
No. I mean, it's like, no, you know what? I saw this invitation to kind of go and speak at Digital Divas, and I'm like, I don't know whether that's an insult or a compliment. But okay, I'll take it as a compliment.
It's the nicer definition of diva. Let's not get into that.
Okay, let's not get into that. Okay, so, sure. So, as you can hear from my accent, not South African, German.
Sure.
But I've actually now spent half of my life in South Africa. So, to be honest, I'm German when it comes to soccer. For the rest, you can kind of go and debate. So I've got two homes. Grew up in Germany, came to South Africa as an intern. Be very, very careful. Doing internships, you might end up there. So it's just one of those kind of things. Did that and started in corporate up in Johannesburg. And I really don't regret it. Amazing time. I learned a hell of a lot. I would never, ever go back there. But it was a fantastic learning curve. And I think to start your life in corporate is not bad. And I think that's really one of those things. And then somehow stumbled into working with entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And then I had to kind of go and figure out that some of those entrepreneurs needed money.
Yes.
And this is now, we're talking about 2006, 2007. And this thing, venture capital, that a lot of people talk about in the world, didn't really exist in South Africa. So very naively, and I think naive is one of those things that you can kind of go and write next to my name. There's a lot of things. So I was like, okay, there's no venture capital, so let's kind of go and start venture capital in South Africa. And I think I went to every financial institution. I got the meetings. I'm very proud of that. And they all were very polite and said, thank you, but no thank you. Venture capital in South Africa won't work. Investing in tech companies won't work. So thank you, but no thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
And look where you are today.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing. So if you have been rejected by everybody, so I kind of decided, well, if I have to kind of go and can't raise the money in South Africa, I need to go and raise it somewhere else. Thought about, well, where do I come from? Germany. Who do I know of in Germany who has money, likes South Africa,
right,
and likes venture capital? Did a bit of research and found out that Professor Hasse-Plattner, the founder of SAP, owned Fancourt in George, so liked South Africa. Was at that point of time, I think, the 110 richest man in the world, so had a bit of money, and had just started a VC fund in Berlin.
Yeah.
So I went to LinkedIn and I found out if you want to kind of go and message somebody at SAP, it's first name dot surname at sap.com. So I kind of go and sat on a Friday afternoon and kind of go and wrote a long letter to exactly that email address and saying, dear Dr. Plattner, don't you want to kind of go and give me some money for a VC fund? And my husband sat next to me and he was like, do you really have nothing better to do with your time? Because, I mean, he will not read it and definitely not give you money. And he gave me 25 million euro, and that's how I kind of go and started the largest, at that point of time, VC fund in South Africa. So the one thing to kind of go and look at it is, even if something is impossible, what have you got to lose? A few hours.
Yeah.
So just do it. But that's how I started to get into venture capital. And that's what I've done now for the last 15 years. And
still the same business?
No, I kind of go and started Hasse-Plattner Ventures Africa and stayed there for 3 years. And then my amazing partners at Knife Capital approached me and I joined Knife Capital, and I've been there now for the last 12 years. Yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
And it's very, very interesting because it was a hard journey. And again, journey is an interesting one. If you think about it, in 2014, 15, we had 11 million rand under management. At the end of this year, at today, we've got 1.3 billion.
Jeez. Did it start with Shuttleworth?
Knife Capital started with Shuttleworth. So,
Yeah.
so Geert and Irben, they were the managers of HPD.
Yes.
And then did the management buyout and started Knife Capital. And then I joined as a third partner. Yes.
Absolutely amazing. So, we've been talking about digital divas, and you've been asking whether you're a diva or not. You're the nice type of diva, right? But
well, some people might not agree with that, but
when I say nice,
I'll take it.
So sometimes to be nice, you sometimes need to be firm, because being firm and telling people as it is, which is what you do, which is what I love about you, by the way, you're kinder to people when you do that. Other than blowing smoke, which gets anybody nowhere. Blowing smoke up someone's posterior does not work. And you're not that type.
I haven't tried it, so that's...
No,
I don't know.
Take my word for it.
Okay.
Now, can you share with us what you'll be discussing at Digital Divas 2023?
So, I've been asked to talk about negotiation. Mm-hmm. And negotiation is a very wide area. And it has a lot of different angles. And I don't want to kind of go and give the plot away, but I mean, at the end, it's what do you want to go and get out of it? So I'll talk about the different scenarios and the different methods and how to kind of go and set yourself up to negotiate like a diva.
I like that. You see, I told you there was a bit of diva in you, and you were denying it up front. Now, what do you believe? So you get these events like Digital Divas. Someone comes up with a bright, spark idea. Let's do Digital Divas. Okay, great. Now what? One has to look at the impact or the potential impact of doing summits like this. And especially for women, right? We've been talking about glass ceilings for the longest time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What value do you believe something like Digital Divas can bring to the world if executed correctly?
I think everybody knows the term old boys club.
Yeah.
Where's the old girls club?
Exactly right.
And if I have to kind of go and think about my career, I have to unfortunately say that other than my mother, I didn't have any woman who helped me. Mm-hmm. It was, to be honest, it was men who helped me.
Yeah.
And sometimes you are alone.
Yes.
And I think if we really want to kind of go and, and take things a bit further and maybe break this glass ceiling, we need to kind of go and look at ourselves and share our knowledge and share our network and kind of go and become stronger. And I think it is about, first of all, it's about the networking. The networking always sounds like it's just a bit of chit-chat. It's not. It's about building relationships. Yeah. And I think places like here, Innovation City, but also events like this, is about getting like-minded people, get to know each other.
Spot on.
And then having talks. It's not about the whole talk. It's about if a talk can spark one idea, one little, didn't think about this, but then it has achieved its purpose. And I think, so if you have like-minded people coming together, some sparks,
correct,
magic happens. And I think that's what we have to go and do. We have to kind of go and create those events to kind of go and make this magic happen. That's really what it's about.
You know, that what you're just saying reminds me of something I studied. Contrary to popular belief, I actually did study something called effectual thinking. Mm-hmm. And I mean, effectuation is basically based on understanding what your purpose is, what you want to achieve, understanding what you can do to get things done immediately, understanding that, yes, everybody's got an acceptable loss, which will define your runway. But thirdly, and the most important part of that, is who's in your network. And, you know, and I'm sure you'll touch on this. When you talk about that network and network building, it's giving more than you take.
Absolutely.
And building relationships of trust that eventually come to fruition. It's a journey. It's not something that happens like that.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's something that a lot of people misunderstand. People come to me and say, can you introduce me to ...
Yeah.
Now, there are some people in my network that everybody wants to get introduced to.
Sure.
And actually, I quite often say no.
Mm-hmm.
Or I first ask that person.
Yep.
And it's not that if you can kind of go and meet someone and the next day you can unleash your, now I know this person, I can kind of go and do this. I mean, network is something that really is built over time, and you absolutely need to kind of go and you need to contribute. You need to invest. And you need to give it time. It's not like a quick fix. Network is something that's about authenticity. It's about contributing without wanting something in return. The return comes over time.
Yeah.
But it's really not a kind of a quick fix, but it needs to be authentic.
Correct.
You know, you can fake a meeting, but you can't fake relationships, not over the long term. You really can't. And it's about, this whole authenticity kind of thing that I think it's very, very important.
Indeed. And I think, anyway, we're not going to do a whole Digital Divas interview here. I mean, we can then create our own podcast at some stage, right? And talk about these things. But it's so important to have the right people around you. I believe in story, and you become the stories that other people tell you and the stories you tell yourself about yourself. We always talk about coding. The most important coding that you could ever do is the mental coding.
I call it, don't become a prisoner of your own perceptions.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just one of those things. We grow up with perceptions around where we come from, what we should be. This whole thing about, I mean, a lot of people kind of say, as a girl, you kind of go and grow up, and everybody kind of go and tells you, you're going to go and marry, and you're going to have 2 children, and you kind of go, there's certain perception that you've got. Mm-hmm. And at some stage, you kind of are faced with decisions, and then you need to kind of go and break the perceptions and make sure that you don't become a prisoner of your perceptions. And again, if a event like this can just kind of go and spark a few things. You see a few people who've done it, and you're like, oh, if they could do it, why can't I?
Exactly.
They say something, and you're like, wow, actually that's true. And if you can start changing those perceptions that have been ingrained in you from the day that you were born, and just start looking at things differently, I think the day is worth it by a mile.
So we're going to wrap up this conversation where we started. And it started with your question about divas, right? What does the term digital diva actually mean to you, right? After now we've had this conversation for a couple of minutes. And how do you believe that you embody this in your own professional journey?
So digital for me actually means, in this case, innovation and being out there and a bit of cutting edge. Don't take the digital literally in terms of digital. Diva is an interesting one. Diva is for me a very strong term. Mm-hmm. It talks about being proud. Mm-hmm. It talks about knowing your self-worth. Yeah. It has a bit of arrogance.
Yep.
I have to kind of go and say. But a diva is definitely female. Mm-hmm. Is proud to be female. Yeah. And knows that she's good.
Exactly.
That's a diva. Now, am I a digital diva? It's for others to kind of go and judge. But I'm definitely looking forward to meeting a lot of those proud, strong women.
I, as a male, right, listen to this or think about this term diva. When men assert themselves, we say that men are assertive. They're trying to go for something. They are, wow. When a woman asserts herself, wants to go for something, we end up using terms like diva. Oh, she's being such a diva. So actually, it's something women should own, but turn the meaning on its head. Essentially, when you tell people you're a diva, you're going out there, you're getting what you want at your own terms, and you don't give a damn what anybody else says about it. What's your take on that?
Well, we are going to talk about negotiating like a diva. So let's find out what comes in the talk.
Andrea Böhmert, thank you very much. You are an amazing human being and you change people's lives on a daily basis. What a pleasure chatting to you.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Privilege all mine.